Yo, hello. What's going on? All right. How are you? I gotta fix my hat. Hello. Hey, what's up, Brittany? What's up, Katie? Uh, Waverly, Brennan, Gilly got go up, Cheyenne. Hi, guys. How are you? What's going on? In the middle of an anxiety attack. What are you anxious about? How are you guys feeling? My name is Jake. What's up, Jake? Faith. What's good, Faith? How have you guys been? How's the weather? It's warm. It's really good. It's really good. Or was that like a spiritual question? How's the weather spiritually? uh, I think spiritually, I would say that right now, I feel good. I'm not off at all. I just feel a little bit like shaken up, a little bit uncertain, but at the core of it all, like I feel good. I feel very, I think, founded in where I am with God, or at least just founded in the fact that He's here and He cares, and I'm going in the right path, and that's kind of what I was talking about in the video I just posted about basically finding certainty in the midst of uncertainty. I think a lot of times we or I search for comfort, and I'm looking to God for like, man, like when can I feel good? When can I not feel anxious? When can I not feel how I'm feeling? But now it's just, I think I'm coming into a space where I'm realizing the fact that I don't feel good is actually, for lack of a better term, like a good thing, you know? Like I'm not supposed to be feeling good, and even more, I think once I kind of stop pursuing that, it's delivered to me, it's given to me, you know? But we could talk a little bit more about it. Um, I'm feeling sensational. That's a great word. Like I haven't heard somebody describe their mood as sensational in a while. I'm happy for you. Uh, when you're anxious and you don't know why, like what's the main cause? Yeah, that's me. I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. And I think I think there's always a core reasoning to why we're feeling anxious. It's just that um, sometimes it happens so like subtly that we don't even realize it's causing anxiety until like we're existing in the anxiety. But you know, whenever I'm experiencing that space, that's when I really like have to talk to myself. I really have to ask myself like, yo, how am I really feeling? What's really going on, and where did this come from? I realized the other day that a lot of my anxiety comes from thinking about other people. And it's really weird to say that because I always saw my compassion and care for other people as a good thing, but and it is a good thing, but I think that for me, I don't often exist independently. Like it's kind of like the other day I went on a walk. I had a really good walk. I found some really good clarity. But immediately my thought went to, now that I'm in a good mood, now that I'm in a good space, I can't wait to go exist around my friends so that I can show them how good I feel today, so that I can show them me in my best form. And so instead of me being in a space where I felt good just because I felt good for me and I knew what that meant to me and that was enough, I wanted to go express that to somebody in order for it to have validity. And I think that's something that I'm learning now is to be a little bit more selfish. And I know selfish isn't a good word, but selfish in that like I settle into things for me. I let things resonate for me instead of needing subconsciously someone else to validate it. And yeah, I think it caused a lot of anxiety for me just because like that's a lot to think about all the time. Like every day you get up and you're living your life basically as if you're being watched. Everything you do is being watched, you know? And so you live your life in that context. Like, what's this person going to think about me doing this? What's that person going to think? It's like, I can't do anything independently or for myself. I can't feel sure in anything for myself until somebody else gives me permission to feel sure about it, you know? And that's what I'm really climbing out of now, is really trusting that God is the only person, you know, that I need to like be looking to that for. And if I know that I'm walking in accordance with God, if I know that we're good, bro, like I'm set, you know, I'm straight. Even if I'm uncertain or I'm confused, I can be confused. I can be uncertain. I can be sad. As long as I know that I'm good with God, bro, like I'm set. Um, I just started college and there's so much anxiety and such a burden on me because of everything going on. Anything you can say. College. I went to college for 7 days. Um, but there's a lot of different reasons I think someone would be anxious about, you know, starting college. You mentioned everything going on right now, like starting college in this very uncertain period in the world, or maybe just starting college in general, I think can be pretty daunting. But um, I think for me, when it comes to like college or something like that, like it's a matter of welcoming the change and maintaining my heart, you know, because change is going to come. But so long as you maintain or at least pursue a deeper understanding of who you are and what you stand for and what you represent, then you don't get lost in the chaos of change and uncertainty. Like the world is going to keep changing. So, but I am a consistent force, you know, no matter if it's rainy outside or sunny outside, I know who I am. And that's what gives me, or that's what can give me like the certainty that I need. I think change can be daunting because it's losing control. Let me sit down. It's losing control. It's losing like it's losing a sense of comfort. But I think when your sense of comfort comes from within, it's just like as long as I'm inside my body and I'm good with where I'm at, um, yeah. I don't know. I haven't thought about college in a while. It's been like 4 years. Uh, it's not a religion, but it's a relationship with God. Any advice for those who feel like they can't hear God or that God isn't talking to them? Um, I would say I would recommend just inviting God into the spaces of your life. You know, I think sometimes we look for God, but we don't like really listen for God. You know, because listening is something that involves patience. You know, it involves sitting down and allowing room for God to speak. You know, um, so I'd say like genuinely listening, not expecting that I'm gonna say, "Hey God, what's this?" And he's just gonna be like, "Well, buddy, that's that." Sometimes he does answer instantaneously, but I think when you genuinely allow the room for God to um, make himself present, um, he'll show up for you. And there's various ways that you can allow room for God depending on where you're at in your life. For me, how I allow room for God right now is from when I talk to him. Like I genuinely invite him into everything. Like before I get on this live, I'm like, hey God, like like I pray and I'm like, hey, I don't know what I'm about to say or what I'm about to encounter, but I'm asking that you let your spirit be in the midst of this. I'm asking that I might learn something, that I might be a vessel through which you can say something to somebody that needs to hear it today. I invite him into that space as opposed to engaging it. And then when I need him, I'm like, God, can you show up for me? Because a lot of times he may seem quiet because like there's a lesson that you might need to learn to apply next time. Outside of that, I've gotten into worshiping recently. Like really, I think worshiping for me, I was on a music fast for this past week, just listening to only gospel music. And I think that was important for me because then I got my mind into this space where I could hear God, because sometimes God speaks, but because our minds are so preoccupied with all of what's going on and all of our cares and uncertainties and fears and what's going on in the world with our jobs and our schools and our friends, because there's so much going on, we can't even hear God out over all of that. And so sometimes it's a matter of like, you know, putting your mind in a space where there's room to hear him, you know? Yeah, that's what comes to mind right now. Like inviting him, genuinely inviting him, listening for him, like allowing room, and, you know, conditioning your mind to hear him, you know, engaging your mind with things that he is in and he is present in, you know? Last night I went to youth and they wanted someone to pray before we started the message. They called on me and I got nervous because I don't really know how to pray. Any advice? I have a video on my channel called How to Pray. I think it'll help you out. But praying is just honest, bro. Praying is best when it's honest. I think uh, in the Bible it says that, you know, when you pray, God wants honesty in the inward parts. Like the thing about prayer is that like God already knows what's going on inside of you before you even know what's going on inside of you. He already knows what's happening. And so sometimes we feel like we have to present ourselves a certain way to God, or, you know, we got to like say it in a certain way, or there's certain things we can't mention to him, or certain things we're ashamed of, or whatever. We give ourselves all these reasons, but the truth is, the reality is, he already knows. So the prayer, I think a lot of times is even for you. It's for you to be able to put it into words and for you to be able to acknowledge it. And so there's nothing that is off the table. There's nothing that is off limits. There's nothing that is too much, or there's nothing that doesn't sound right. Like it's just honesty. It's just you like speaking what is truly on your soul and not being ashamed of that, you know? I think we sometimes we can get in our own way a lot of the times, especially when it comes to God. Like my friend told me the other day that like God be chilling, you know, God be chilling. It's we that like overthink and overcomplicate a lot of the times. I definitely do it, but a lot of times God be chilling. Why? Because God already knows. He already knows before you know, and he already has it sorted out before you even knew it was gonna become a problem. You know, like he already had it going. So it's just knowing that he already knows and then allowing that room to just be honest completely. I feel like a burden to my family, like nothing is good enough for them. Any advice on helping me cope with moments when I feel that way? A burden on your family because nothing you do is good enough for them. Um, I thought about this the other day when I was on my walk. I was thinking about what we mentioned before about where we find our sense of identity and what we need for validity. And it's kind of like, let's say let's say you get an A on a test, you know, and you feel good about that, but you want to go share it with your family and let them know so that they can also feel good about it. But let's say let's say you get a B on a test. You go share it with your parents and your parents are like, it should have been an A because, you know, you've been studying this for so long and da 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 da, whatever their reason is. Then you suddenly don't feel good about that B anymore. I think it's important, first of all, again, to have a sense of identity for yourself, you know, to really like let things resonate with you for the reasons they resonate with you without needing somebody else to give you permission to feel good about it, or without needing somebody else to give validity to why you feel good about it. Because what happens is that I might get a B on a test, but I know what it took for me to get that. I knew how hard it was. I knew the nights I spent studying. I knew the nights I didn't spend studying and why I'm surprised I got this B. I know that. And so for that reason, I have to explain to myself, like, this is why this means what it means to me. This is why this is worth something to me. And that takes practice, because I think a lot of us, we've in our society today, we've basically been conditioned to need external validation. So it's not your fault that you feel that way, and it's going to be a process, you know. to really condition your mind to think in a new way. But I think what we want to do is we want to start like being able to give ourselves the validity that we need, so that if I get a B, if I go to my parents and they're like, you should have got an A, it's like, all right, that's cool, and I get why you feel that way, but I still feel good because I know what it took for me to get here, and I knew what I had to do this. I knew what this took out of me, and I give myself reason for that. I don't need your permission to feel good about it. I don't need your approval to feel good about it. And so I think if I were just kind of just gauging off your situation, I don't know your life, but it just kind of seems like maybe you need to start settling into things more for yourself, settling into them and getting reason to them, not just allowing things to happen and they just pass you by, like, oh, this makes me happy, this makes me sad. Like, no, like, reason that out. If you feel good today, like, ask yourself, like, how did I get here? What made me feel good? Why do I feel good? What kind of things led to me being here, so that I can like replicate that in the future, so that I can make that more consistent. Don't just let life happen to you and let life pass you by. Like, really observe it and take it in and question it and start setting up foundations for how you think and why you think the way you think and how you kind of want to maneuver your life moving forward. It's like taking life a bit more seriously, kind of treating life like school in a way, like really taking notes, journaling. Um, uh, how do you find the right friends? What are some criteria? I feel that if I met those I call my best friends today, I wouldn't even be friends with them because of our different values. I think in order to have an understanding of the kind of people you need to be around, you need to have an understanding of who you are first and foremost. And so I think that question goes even deeper, because firstly, who am I? It's like you operate most of the time with what's of your kind. And so you have to really have an understanding of who you are, and where you are, to have a better understanding, to have a point of reference to gauge who you need to be around and where you need to be. And so for me, I stumbled into this realization a few weeks ago that in order to find who you are, if you really want to find who you are, bro, like, and I don't want this to sound simple or cliche, but you're gonna have to talk to God, bro. You're gonna have to talk to God. He's gonna have to be in that process, because it's as if it's as if you made it's as if you made a bike. I think I used this example on live once. It's as if you built a BMX bike and you send that BMX bike out into the world, and the world starts telling this BMX bike it's all types of different things. Some people boost its ego. Some people are like, you're a whole motorcycle, bro. Some people belittle it and make it feel small, like you're a little tricycle, bro. Like, the world is gonna tell you that you are everything but who and what you are. And so it gets to a point where you can't even tell yourself who you are, because the world will make you feel small and you will start projecting that onto yourself. So you may start seeing yourself as much smaller than you actually are, or much bigger, but it's almost never accurately who you are. And so if you really want to know who you are, you have to go back to who made you. And that's simple logic, like, you have to go back to the creator if you really want to understand your purpose or your reason for being, or just an understanding of why you are the way you are. Like, who better to talk to, who better to find that out than the person who designed you and meticulously curated you. You can't tell yourself who you are. And I'm getting to know that now. Like, I used to always say, like, you can find yourself. I don't think I could tell myself who I am, because for one, my opinion on myself changes all the time. It's not consistent. Some days I feel great and I'm confident and I feel good. Some days I feel depressed and I don't want to be myself. I am not a consistent enough basis on which to define myself. And so, like, I can only consult God, because God is the one who knows who I've always been, who I was when I was born, who I'm going to be, and who I am right now. He knows the entirety of it. So if you want to know who you are, I think you're going to have to consult God, consult, who created you. And from knowing who you are, you then have a better frame of reference as to who you want to be around, the kind of people. Because like, if say God kind of starts to give you ideas as to who you are, then you have a sense of direction. You know the path that you're on. You know the kind of person you want to develop into being. So then you want to be around people who can assist that development, people who can help guide you towards the destination that you've set for yourself. When you kind of have that sense of direction, or have that sense of like destination, then you can better gauge whether or not somebody helps guide you towards it or pulls you away from it. And I think maybe that's a problem that a lot of us run into, where we don't really have a sense of direction, so we can't gauge whether or not somebody is helping us towards that direction or pulling us from that direction, you know. And so I would say the criteria for a friend or a best friend is somebody who assists you in in becoming the person that you need to be. Period. As simple as it is, a friend is somebody who assists you in becoming the person that you need to be. And yeah, uh, uh, what's the best coping mechanism when you're going through heartbreak? Time, allowing time, giving time, and honesty. Actually, honesty before time. I think if you're dealing with heartbreak, you got to be honest with where you're at and what you're feeling, because heartbreak is something that none of us enjoy feeling, you know. And so when we don't enjoy something, I think we tend to avoid it, or try to move away from it, um, or try to pretend it's not there. Even we do all these different things to cope with it, but the reality is, unless you're able to sit with yourself and say, this is how I'm feeling, I'm sad, and this is why, this is where it's from, it sucks, but that's just where I'm at right now. When you're able to say that to yourself, then you're able to experience it. You allow room for you to experience that heartbreak, because it's gonna take a while, bro. Especially if you were really involved, it's gonna take a while. You know, this is not. There's nothing I can tell you that's gonna make it pass by faster. There's nothing that I can tell you that's gonna make it easier per se, because it's not supposed to get easier. But you want to be able to understand it more. You want to be able to understand where you're at, so that you can more easily get through it. It's kind of like if you're in a car and you're driving through a storm, you know, like if you're driving through a storm but you don't know where you're going, from your perspective, this storm is all that there is, because you can't even gauge what the world will look like beyond this storm. You can only look at where you are right now, and all you're seeing is rain and gray, and it sucks. And that can really put you in a space where you're just at your lowest, you know, because you can't see anything beyond the sadness and the pain and the hurt. But when you can take the time to understand it, when you can say, hey, this is a storm, but it doesn't rain forever. You know, it's gonna stop raining, and even more, I'm on my way somewhere. So this storm might get my car a little wet, but my car was a little dirty anyway, so it's gonna be cleaner afterwards. Feel me? Like, when you understand where you are and understand that it's only a period and a portion, it kind of enables you to better, not, it doesn't make it easier, but it allows you to understand that it's just something that you're getting through. And if it's something that you're getting through, then there will come a point where it will end. And even more than just ending, it's gonna actually shape you into an even better version of yourself. You're gonna learn from it. You're gonna grow from it. You're gonna look back at it and say, like, I didn't like it when I was going through it, but now that I'm on the other side, I appreciate it. Feel me? So it's like, I think a matter of just being honest with yourself about where you are and what you're going through, and then acknowledging that it's just something you're going through, and then allow yourself to go through it, allow yourself to feel it, be sad, be hurt, you know, but don't let yourself be consumed by it. um, how do I reach out to God? God is right here, bro. All you have to do is invite him. But I think it's like, it's worth making a conscious like invitation, you know, because I think oftentimes God will come as far as you'll allow him. So if God is just this idea in your mind of like, hey, I'm in the world, it exists, of course there probably is a creator, then that's as far as you're allowing God to exist in your life. But if you start to actually look at it and be like, wait a minute, so if I have a creator and he created me and I have a personality, then he must have a personality. So what's he really like? You know? And like, feel me, like you actually start to look at God and start to pursue an understanding of not the concept of God, the concept of what a creator is and what the meaning of life is, but who is he really? Why did he make this? You know, like actually engage him as a living, breathing entity, you know, that is there, that you can speak to, that you can reach out to. Treat him, I don't want to say treat him like a person, but I'm trying to get you to understand that like God is like, he's not just a concept, he's not just an idea. He is alive, he has feelings, he has thoughts, he has intentions, you know, like, and we see that in the world all around us. Like a tree, the sun is hot, feel me, like the sun is hot, the sun could have just been bright, but it's hot, it provides warmth. Like that is deliberate, that is intentional. Like this tree is green. It could have been blue, but why did he make it green? Feel me? Like all of this is deliberate. It's not just by chance. And so, like, I think when we start to look at God that way, as a living, conscious, deliberate entity, then we start to engage him in a more intentional way. So if you're asking how to reach out to God, how would you reach out to a friend? You'd call him, right? You talk to him, right? You like hit him up, text him, hey, I've been thinking about you. Hey, I'm confused about this. Hey, I want to talk to you about that. It's the same thing with God. Like, hey, but the thing is, God is all around. He's all beyond you and inside of you. So it could even be just you talking to yourself like, hey, God, I'm here in my room right now and I look crazy, but I'm confused about this and I'm looking for some clarity, or I'm searching for you, but I'm not seeing you. How can I see you better? What can I do to engage with you more closely? Like have this conversation with him. And, you know, in more ways than one, I think that he'll show up for you. He'll show you that he's there. Because God is not he's not an evasive God. Like God is not hiding behind the bushes. Like he's not running from you. God is there. I think he's just waiting for you to allow him the room to reveal himself. Because oftentimes I don't think that we don't allow ourselves the capacity to even experience God, you know, in our own minds. Like we don't allow ourselves, we don't allow our minds to even allow that to happen, because even every time we think of God, it's like we shut it down immediately. Like, oh, God is this and God is that, so I'm not going to this and I'm not trying to that. Like we immediately shut it down. But I think sometimes it's just a matter of like the way when I imagine it's like God is this vast being trying to fit himself into your tiny mind. And so it's like he has to put just portions of himself inside of your mind, and as it widens, he can then like fill you more and fill you more. But it takes a conscious effort by you to relinquish that control and that need to remain in that box, you know, and allow that room for expansion so that he can fit himself more properly and more clearly in your life. um can we do a singing dance party? Faith. Faith. My siblings are in school right now, but maybe one Sabbath we could do it again. Maybe this Sabbath. I haven't really been on social media. I've actually been off of social media for this entire month. I got online for my birthday last week. It was August 18th. But other than that, I've been completely off social media for the month of August. I've been on a social media fast. And bro, honestly, it's been so beneficial for me. Like at first I was kind of looking for like, well, what's the reason of this? It just was like I'm avoiding something, but now I'm really starting to see like the benefit of it. And I honestly, I can't see myself going back to social media in the way that I was using it before. I can't see myself having the apps on my phone and just like scrolling through them mindlessly. Like if I get online, I'm gonna have to like first of all have something I need to say, then deliberately download the app, then say that, and then I'm gonna be back off. But I can't see myself engaging with it in the way that I did before. Um, just after 2 weeks of not being on it, bro, like I see how difficult and toxic it is. But the thing is that when you're on it, it's like you can't, it's kind of like, you know, when you're, a lot of times people are in you know how when you've been in a bad relationship, but you don't realize just how destructive it was until you get out of the relationship. That's kind of my relationship with social media. Like I knew something wasn't right about it. I could feel that it was draining me, but it wasn't until I actually stepped away from it, like made a deliberate effort to like not be on it for 2 weeks, that when I go back on it now, bro, I'm so overwhelmed. It's just like so much of what I don't want to see, so much of what I don't want to experience. Like I'm more aware of how it really affects me because I've been existing without it for a while. And so, yeah, man, I think my biggest thing is that social media for me, it tells me who I am, or tries to at least. And it's so easy for me to fall into that because you're seeing people post all day, you're posting, you're basically creating an image of who you are. No matter how as authentic as we try to be, we're essentially creating these caricatures of who we are to present to people. And for one, that does something to your mind because you're now fitting the all of who you are into the image of who you think you are, or the image of who you'd like to present yourself to be. And then on top of that, which is already a block in itself, people are commenting and liking people are commenting and liking and messaging you to reassure the idea that you've put out. So that then like puts in your mind that, oh, this is who I am, because now not only do I think it's a good presentation, but people like it. So that just kind of puts you in a mindset where you start to exist as the image that you've created of yourself, as opposed to existing as the pursuit of who you genuinely are. And so after being off of social media, I kind of realized, like, I don't really know who I am. You know, I have ideas, I have like certain understandings and they're great, but I don't know who I am in order to put it in a box and, hey, say like, oh, here is me, here you go, you can have it. It's like I don't know myself well enough for that. So it's like I can't go on social media the way I used to no more. I don't know, bro. But maybe that's just like for me and where I'm at in my life. There are people like social media is powerful. There are people who need to be on social media. So this is not me saying like, you know, get up off of there. I'm just saying like maybe be a little bit more, really consider like what is your reason for being there and how do you use it, you know? Um, how can we best answer to the signs God has been giving us to in order to lead us toward our calling? Obedience. I would say obedience. Obedience. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Obedience. If God is calling you towards something, obey. Trust me. And I think that can be difficult for us. At least for a while, it was difficult for me because obedience isn't, we don't really see obedience in a good light. You know, we see obedience in how we treat our pets. We see obedience in how many abusive parents treat their children. And so we have a kind of negative connotation towards what it means to be obedient. But in truth, I think obedience is love. It's an act of love. It's me, because obedience involves trust, which is powerful. Like, in order for me to obey you, I have to trust that what you're directing me towards is what's best for me. And we've abused obedience as human beings, because when we want someone to obey us, it's always for our benefit. I want you to obey me and wash those dishes so that I don't have to. I want you to obey me and go pee outside so I don't have to clean it up. Obedience is always like, it's a selfish act, is what we've come to know it as. But obedience with God, I think, is more of, I genuinely know what's best for you, and I'm telling you what to do to get both of us the best outcome. And I think so when you decide to obey God's calling or obey where God is leading you, for one, it's great because it shows that you honor him and you trust him and you're willing to put aside your own understanding to trust his direction. But it's also beneficial for us, because he knows first of all, he knows what's in our heart. He knows the things that we can't put into words. It says that the Holy Spirit hears the moans of your heart, the things that you deal with that you can't even put into words to ask for help about. He knows that. And so when he gives you direction, bro, he's not just giving you direction towards what you want. He's directing you towards what you need, the things you don't even realize you need. He's guiding you towards. And so I think if God is calling you towards anything, bro, trust and obedience. Like, just do it, bro, because it might not look like it up front to you, but you take a couple steps in his direction, bro, and you're gonna see, like, I wouldn't have made these steps on my own, but I'm glad I did, you know? And that's why I think I just came to the realization yesterday, really, because growing up, I always heard adults say, like, I'm only where I am by God's grace and mercy. And I was like, what, bro? Like, what you mean? Like, I don't understand it. But now I really understand it because, for one, God is not a tyrant, you know? God is so patient with people. God is so patient with people, bro. Like, God will see you in a relationship that's not going to end well for you, and He will give you the inclination of, hey, I think you should get out of there. I'm just telling you, get on out of there. But for whatever reason, you might stay. And God isn't the kind of friend that a lot of us are, where it's like, if you don't take my advice, I don't want to hear about it no more. Like, God will see you go against His advice, and He will still step with you. Like, all right, bro, now that you done stayed in this relationship 2 weeks and you see what he's doing, will you listen to me now? No? All right, boom. All right, I'm still walking with you. Like, 5 months later, when your heart is broken, who is there to pick you up? Him, you know? And He was there the whole time. And He was, not only did He give you advice in the beginning, He's there at the end. And that's, I think, that's true love. Like, it's not a conditional love. It's not a, I love you so long as you do what I want you to do. It's like, I love you so much that I will tell you what's best for you, and if you don't listen to me, I will walk with you through what you're dealing with until you find the realization that I was trying to get you to get to before. And when you make that realization, I will be there to continue the journey with you. Like, that's love, bro, you know? And so, yeah, trust and obedience, bro. Like, he's a real one. He's an OG. He will never steer you wrong. um I think you'll become better at hearing God the more you get into His Word and begin to observe and study His character. Absolutely. And that's a really important point that I'm glad you brought up. I think hearing God also has a lot to do with knowing who God is. And if you want to know who God is, read His Word. You know, like He said that the Bible is His Word, you know? And so when you read the Bible, we often see it as like just a religious book, but it's really you reading human history, first of all, to have an understanding of who God is and how He operates, you know? And when you start to see how God operates in the lives of all these different people throughout the Bible, you start to see the consistency in His character, in his values, in His direction, in what He wants and what He desires, you know, and what He requires. And so when you compare that to your life, you can start to understand where God wants you to go without Him even having to tell you where you want Him to go, because you know who God is. You know, it's kind of like how you know your parents to some degree. When you start going out, you know, you're in high school, you're in college, there's certain things you don't do because you know your mama taught you better, you know? That's what it's like. It's like, because you know your mom, you know there's certain things that you're not going to do just because you know who she is and you know who she raised you to be. You know, it's with God. It's like, as I'm reading the Bible and I'm really learning His character, I know it's certain things I'm not going to do because I know who He raised me to be. You know, I know who He is. I know what I can do that honors and respects Him. I know what I do that disrespects Him and goes against Him, you know? And so, yeah, I think the Word is so important. Like, and the Bible is not just for, like, you know, these, every time you go to church, you might read one or two scriptures, or you might tat your line on your arm. The Bible is really something to study, like really get into it, you know, like, and I know a lot of people struggle with like reading the Bible, and I did for a long time too, but I think I prayed for clarity. I prayed for understanding. And the Bible is a spiritual book. So it's not like a book that you can just pick up and read and just get it. Like, you have to pray for, like, I think, divine intervention, divine wisdom, divine understanding, and God will reveal to you, like, the things that He's put in His book, you know? And that's why it's like, bro, even to this day, I read the Bible every day, but I could read the same passage for 3 months, and something might happen in my life, and I go back and read it, and it just takes on a whole, not a whole new meaning, but a deeper meaning, because of the experience that I have in my life now, the perspective that I've gained to understand it in a new way, in a deeper way. And so it's like, it's something you have to consistently revisit if you really want to know God, bro. Like, you got to be like committed to it. It's a relationship, for real. Like, it's a relationship. Like, it's not. And I think another thing is that when it comes to God, sometimes we love God so long as God is good to us. You know, like we want God to bless us, we want God to exalt us, we want a new crib, we want a new car, and then when we get it, we're like, oh, thank you, God, I love you, God, like you bless me, God, great. But what my dad told me this morning is God doesn't care about those blessings, bro. God does not care about earthly blessing. He does not care about the car that you got. You know, he does not, or the car that he gave you. He does not care about what he put in your bank account. What he cares about is you. He cares about you as a person. He cares about who he needs to, who he needs you to become. He cares about where he's trying to take you to. And so he'll bless you along the way just to guide you to where he needs to get you to. But he doesn't exist. He's not a blessing he's not a blessing coupon. Like he's not here to just make your life great or make it convenient. He's here to change your heart and reveal to you the reality of what we're existing in and what life is really about and where we are in life, and reveal to you like the story of humanity and where we're going from here. And that's why in my last video, I think it's so important to realize that we're not meant to be comfortable. I'm not meant to be comfortable here, bro. I can only speak for myself because this is the realization that I've come to. I'm not meant to be comfortable here because this is not the fullness of life. This is like diet life. This is life with sin in it. This is like if you get some orange juice and somebody puts some like oil in it, you know, like, and we're drinking this like boo-boo orange juice, like trying to find enjoyment in it, but it was never meant to be enjoyed. It's tainted. And so if God comes along and he's like, bro, this orange juice is tainted, but let me show you how you can get to the orange itself. Feel me? Like that's where I'm trying to get you to. I'm not trying to get you to be comfortable with this. Like I'm not trying to get you to love this little shindig right here, bro. I'm trying to get you to the real thing. And that's what I think is the purpose. Like that's what is purpose is in a lot of our lives right now. It's not to make us comfortable here. It's to guide us to where we need to be and to shape us into who we need to become so that we can exist and experience the fullness of love, the fullness of life, the fullness of his presence. My guide told me to invite the Holy Spirit to read with you when you read the Bible. Invite the Holy Spirit to pray with you when you pray. Oh yeah, no, exactly. And that's why I said before, like a big part for me in my relationship with God is like just inviting him into everything I do. You know, inviting him into, if it's even, I'm driving down the street, I'd be like, God, like, you know, I just ask for guidance. I'm always praying for protection from things that I can see and things that I can't see, because there are so many things that happen around us on a day-to-day basis that we can't see, that we're protected from, that we don't even realize. And that's why I think like God is always there even when he doesn't feel like it, because you don't see the things that he's protecting you from. You know, like you were driving and you got a flat tire. You didn't see the guy who was driving drunk who would have ended up hitting your car and killing you. You don't see how he just protected you from that whole scenario. All you see is a flat tire. And what do? Complain, you know? And that's why it's like, I think you have to kind of get into a mindset. That's where faith really comes from. Faith, I think, or a big part of faith, I think, is acknowledging that God is working even when you can't see it. You know, like he's there even when you can't feel it. That's faith. And that's why people say praise in advance, because he's always working. He's always working in your favor. He's always doing good for you. He's always trying to help you, even when it doesn't look like it. You know, and there's so many, bro, it's just like, I could talk about God forever, bro. That's all I think about. That's all I've been thinking about for the past few months on a daily basis, bro. That is all I think about. And so I don't mean to be like, you know, when you're asking me about heartbreak and stuff, or people even want me to make videos about love, it's like, bro, like I could, but I'm not going to, because that's not where I am in my life. That's not where I am. Like somebody commented on the last video I did before this one. They were like, I love you, Miles, but, you know, I don't want to see you like, you know, making your channel religious. And it's like, bro, for real, like this is where I am. And it's not even religious, just that where I am in my life is very God-centered. I am pursuing a relationship with God. I am pursuing an understanding with God. So everything I do and everything I say is gonna have God in it, for real, you know? because that's where I'm at in my life. And again, like as we've talked about from probably the beginning, I'm not a content creator. I don't make content for the sake of getting views or getting popular or getting money. Content creation is a blessing to me. Like, I'm grateful that I have a creative spirit and God has given me talents, and a way to express my thoughts and my feelings. But that's all it is. It's an expression of what's really going on in my life. And so I can't step outside of my own honesty to create what is convenient to what people expect of me. I'm only ever going to create what is true to what I'm dealing with and what I'm experiencing. If you want to hear it right now, bro, that's up to you. But so long as I get to express it, that's me. That is my criteria. And if it blesses you, then that is a blessing, and I'm grateful and I'm happy that we can then discuss it and talk about it and grow together and learn together. But yeah, I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to be rich or make money. If those find me, it's a blessing, but that's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to share what I experience and what I learn and what is true to me, and encourage discussion about it, like how we're doing now. Uh, Anything you've been happening in your life? I've just been coming into a good space, man. I think the last video I put out is just like the most recent update on where I'm at, like mentally and spiritually and personally. But yeah, I'm really grateful for this space that I'm in because, um, like I mentioned before, like just to be able to feel okay even when I'm not okay is a blessing. Like when my birthday came around, I didn't feel a yearning to like go out and party, or I didn't feel a need to find an incentive for my joy. I was happy just because I felt good. Like I just felt okay. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't feeling overwhelmed. I wasn't depressed. And that was so much for me. Um, because I know where I've been, I know like how difficult it's been on so many days for me to just feel good, for me to be able to see light, even though it was sunny outside. So to be able to exist on a day just comfortably, bro, like I could spend time with my family, people who genuinely love me and aren't like out to get me or destroy me or take advantage of me. I'm surrounded by people I love, bro. And I got a house. Like, I can sleep in my bed. I got a game system. I can watch TV and Netflix, bro. Like, you're telling me that, like, I'm not starving. There's food in my kitchen. Like, my stomach is full. I'm not worried about where my next meal is coming from. Like, bro, like, what? Like, I'm good, bro. I'm set. Like, that is something to celebrate within itself. Like, it's sunny outside. It's not rainy. It's not cold. First of all, it's not cold. It's summertime, bro. Like, I don't got to put a jacket on when I go outside. I'm good, bro. Like, I done got all the gifts I need. And I think in being in that kind of mental space, that's the mental space I just yearn after, to be able to just look around and see gratitude, see the true gratitude that exists all around me in the simplest things that, we tend to just walk by so much in. And yeah, man, that's why I think I had to get off social media too, because it's just like we live in a very overstimulated